Welcome back to the Daily Mastermind. George Wright III here with your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and education. Hope you're having an amazing day. I'm going to turn down some of the music here in the office, but I'm excited to talk with you today. You know, I mentioned this the other day, and it really kind of blows my mind every time it happens. I go to the quote of the day in the mobile app, and it's after usually I have a couple thoughts I write down while I'm working out or something like that I want to talk about in the podcast. But the mobile app lately, the quotes are just right in line with what I want to talk about. So it's kind of cool. You got to check out the mobile app. We've got some really good picks and quotes that are in there. But the quote today is, "Success is walking from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm," by Winston Churchill. A good guy for that quote, right? Success is walking from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. So here's what I want to talk to you about today. I want to talk to you about stopping the chase, or stop chasing success and happiness. Now, I know that sounds kind of weird, stop chasing happiness and success, but I want to give you just a little bit of straight talk on maybe some things I've learned in my life. I've definitely evolved in the way that I've approached success, and I want to talk to you a little bit about that because here's the thing, and you know what? Some of you may be able to relate to this. Some of you, it might just be great entertainment value. I don't know, but that's okay either way. But I want to talk to you about just sort of the evolution I've gone through in my life, and just kind of discuss that a little bit because I've learned a couple of things. Maybe it can save you. Maybe you can relate to some of it. But you know what I found is, for the first third of my life, I really spent a lot of time chasing the money. You know what I mean? Chasing the money, chasing success. And the bottom line is I was really good at it. Like, I was really good at chasing success. I was able to make a lot of money. I was able to do a lot of things. A lot of people showed up in my life. I got a ton of recognition. I mean, I started school when I was 4. My parents put me in a bilingual school. And so I kind of got on that fast track quick, got married out of high school, had twins. And, I was just on that fast track to chasing money, chasing success. And I was really good at it. Still am, actually. But the bottom line is you get the things, you get the house and the cars and stuff like that, and the money and the lifestyle. And, it just didn't really give me the fulfillment that I was looking for. And, some of you know what I mean. I mean, you could be making a lot of money and not be fulfilled, or you could be not making any money and still have some happiness and fulfillment. But chasing the money just seemed to not be it. So I went into kind of that next phase of my life. And that next phase of my life, I thought, well, instead of chasing money, I'm just gonna create happiness. I'm just gonna chase happiness, right? I'm gonna create a happy, fulfilled life. And so I was able to travel and have lifestyle, and I was making some pretty good money by then. I was making far north of 6 figures, and so I was able to buy nice things and have a nice lifestyle and do things I really enjoyed. But you know what? And I had some great memories, by the way. But what happened was my benchmark kept moving up. Even though I was trying to create a life that was fulfilling, a life that was happy, rather than just chasing success, I constantly kept moving the benchmark. I constantly kept doing that. And what happened was I realized that even having a happy, kind of more balanced, sustained lifestyle doesn't necessarily create fulfillment as well, or, in place of money. And then I had some things happen in my life, and, I can kind of go into that in maybe a different podcast. That's not really the point of this one, but, I went through a divorce, I went through some business changes, and, I kind of really had to ask myself, what is it that I want? What's going on? I spent a third of my life really chasing the money and success, thinking that's going to get me what I want. Do what most people won't so that you can live like most people won't or can't, right? And then just be happy and create happiness and things like that. And I thought that would work, and it really didn't. And what I've found now, and this is the point that I wanted to talk to you about, what I've found in my life is that I did this exercise. And I'm going to digress for just a second here. I had a mentor partner of mine have me do this lifeline exercise. I don't know if you've ever taken out a sheet of paper, and down the left side of the paper, you write down the year you were born, and then every year thereafter. So I was born in 71 and 72, 73, 74, 75. So you go from age 0 all the way up to where you're at now, right? And whether you're 20, 30, 40, whatever it is. But then you've got to extend that, right? Because you got to realize that people are living to 80. I'm not saying everybody does, right? But people are living a longer life. and they're living a longer life because of technology and health and things like this. And so if you're going to live to 70 or 80 or some people 90 years old, you got a lot of life left to live. You've got a lot of time to still be able to build. And see, I'd gotten to a point where I was like, man, I'm so far in my life, I've had failures in this, and I'm not where I want to be, and time's running out, and how do I start rebuilding? How do I reinvent myself? And what I realized is I got a long runway left, and none of us knows how long we have. But if you take the optimistic perspective that you have more runway left, it shifts your mindset a bit, and you're willing to kind of restart, re-engage. And here's what I realize. We're in a point in time right now, especially where this COVID-19 virus has kind of isolated a lot of people. You need to look at this as an opportunity to reset your game, reset where you're going. And I had done this just a little while ago because I had gone through some major, setbacks, right? And I talk a lot about, your setback is not a setback, it's a setup for a comeback. And whatever area of your life you're trying to do that in. And I'm in an area of my life right now that I don't have all the answers, but I definitely have learned a few things, and I want to kind of share those with you. What I've learned is that you don't have to have all the answers, and you can't chase money, and you can't chase success and achieve fulfillment. And you can't just create a happy life. You can't just only choose to do things that make you happy. What you have to do is you have to learn to take advantage of that attraction principle, and that take action and sit back and allow for attraction. And so I've learned a couple of things, and this is what I've learned. Number one, you do need to choose happiness. You need to choose that as your priority because the money will follow. Whereas if you choose money, happiness does not necessarily follow. The second thing is that you have to realize that happiness is a state of mind. You can achieve happiness at any point in time. Just take, for example, a memory. Take one of your best memories you've ever had of being happy. Think about it, close your eyes. Tony Robbins does this a lot. Really get into the moment of where you're at, and you'll start to feel that happiness. You'll feel how that feels, and you'll create that state. You can create that state at any given time. So not only can you choose happiness, but happiness is a state of mind. It is a state of being in the present. It's not a past or future deal. It's a present deal. So you can't be looking for happiness. You can't be going to get happiness. You have to create a state of happiness. That's the second thing. The third thing is that, and this was a hard one, you have to learn to fall in love with the process. And I want to talk about that for a second because I've heard, Gary Vee and a lot of other people talk about, they love the process, got to fall in love with the process. And he said a couple things today on a podcast I heard, which is what triggered me talking about this concept. And what I've learned is that it's not just about saying, I'm going to love the process of doing what I do so that I can get where I need to get. All right. I'm not going to just fall in love with making calls for my business so that I can create the results, or fall in love with doing what I do so that I can have what I want to have. You have to actually love the process. It's not about the result and enjoying the process of getting there. It's about enjoying the process. You have to learn to fall in love with the process, because if the only thing that exists is the now, then you have to love the now. You can't be okay with and enjoy the now so that you can get where you want to be, because you're still thinking in the future. And this is the part that I kind of struggle with. I keep doing. But if you can learn, if you choose happiness and then you create that state of happiness while you're living your life, and you can learn to fall in love with the process. That's the key. It's not just about attracting happiness. It's not just about choosing happiness. You have to learn to fall in love with the process of being, of growing, of developing, and latch onto something. Maybe it is your job. Maybe it is personal development. Maybe it's growing. Maybe it's learning a skill. Maybe it's a hobby. But fall in love with that part of your process, your life, your moving. If you can learn to fall in love with that, you will attract more happiness. You will attract more success for sure, because you're doing what you love. You're doing what you enjoy, and you want to do it. And so if you can choose happiness, you can create that state of happiness more on an ongoing basis in the now, and you can fall in love with the process. Then what you have to do is you really have to get grounded in the present. And that's the thing that I struggle the most with, but I'm doing much, much better at. And that is, in the moment, you only have one focus, right? It's whatever you're doing. And this could be the most mundane task. It might be the most important task. It might be that someone calls you and you're on the phone, and rather than being focused on other things, you think you're in the present, but you're not focused on that person or that relationship or that thing that you're working on. You're not, and when you're not in the moment, you're not enjoying it, right? You're not enjoying the peace and quiet of sitting in the morning, with a cup of coffee before you get going. You're not enjoying that little lunch break. You're not enjoying being on the job, making the phone call or talking with people. You have to learn to be, act, execute, and enjoy the present moment. And, the rest of what I'm learning is still happening. So I think that's the key. I went from learning I was chasing success and happiness to trying to just live happily and balanced, to now I'm in a mode of making the decision, creating that state as much as I can, and attracting that happiness, attracting it because I'm enjoying the process and I'm loving what I do and I love how I do it. And you know what's crazy? Success is happening like crazy. Like things are happening in a great, great way. And so I hope if there's anything there, it might give you some ideas, some suggestions to learn that chasing success is not the key and chasing happiness is not the key. You've got to learn to create that state, that decision, that state of mind, attract it into your life, and fall in love with the process. And when you do that, I think you're going to enjoy life, you're going to enjoy things, you're going to have more success, and you're going to have more happiness. So I hope that helps you. As I learn and as I grow, I'll do the same thing. I'll kind of give that feedback back to you. So that's my message for today. Have an amazing day. Have an amazing weekend. And I'll look forward to talking with you again on Monday. This is George Wright III. This has been the Daily Mastermind. Have a great weekend.